Okay, traders, good morning. This is the Clinical Traders coming to you live on Facebook. The date is the 4th of May. It's a Saturday, nice and early in the morning. Please note that this is not advice. Never has been, never will be. Don't take my advice. It's just for a bit of fun and a bit of discussion. Just do a quick video today on Bitcoin. We can see that up in the corner here. We are looking at a one-day chart. I'm reminded as I do that somebody asked me to make the mouse bigger. So I might have to look into that, but perhaps not today. Okay, so here's our chart, and you can see we've got Bitcoin, which crashed fairly heavily over here. This is around November, December, and you can see the volume down here in the red and the green. Green is for up days and red is for down days. So really heavy volume down through here. So you would expect that whoever traded in these areas from probably here through to about probably here is going to determine what happens in the future, because a lot of people would be operating at a loss if you bought particularly up in this end. And so it takes a long time sometimes for that to all work itself out, which is what all this choppiness is through here. You see the price hovered really from December last year right through until April this year. It's really done nothing. You could trade this up and down, yes, but Bitcoin hasn't done much. And then we got to this day here, and on the 2nd of April, in which Bitcoin all of a sudden took off. And I want to remind people that I did talk about this. Here we have March 30, so this is 3 days beforehand. And I wrote down that Bitcoin is looking for another opportunity to break out to the upside. It's worth watching for the next week or two, the next week, to see if it's ready for all you crypto lovers out there. And I have to say, looking back, I kind of wish I had have actually acted on this. I did nail the call, as you saw on the chart. It was just 3 days later, and we saw this breakout. It took off, and it's kept on going. And I called that the market would make its way to this arrow, where this volume node, this is called a volume node here. This represents all the buying and the selling. So blue is buying, yellow is selling. That takes place in this price range in here. Okay, and that stretches all the way back to, you can see all that toing and froing that took place through here. I marked this place for resistance on this end, but support over this end. So old support becomes new resistance. And just last night, if I can just move this arrow for you, you can see that we got into that zone. So could it go all the way to the top here and stop? Absolutely it could over the next few days. But you're not going to get a great deal of gain out of that. So that's a pretty good move. And if you bought down here at the lows, let's say for example you bought off this low here and you bought in here, you'd be paying $3,585. And if you could sell it up here, you'd be pretty pleased at $6,351. That is a very nice return. It's about 85%. And to be honest, if I was holding this, I would be very careful that this doesn't turn into a top and then retrace and come all the way back down. Perhaps somewhere in this zone where we see a lot of action taking place, that might be somewhere that we look to get out. For example, where this big gap is in here. What's that, 4,900? That's possibly what could happen. Could it keep going? It could. It could even get to this top bar here and stop and then reverse, which would give you $6,720 odd, and that's a possibility too. Anyway, that's Bitcoin. I haven't checked the other cryptos, but I'm sure they're making the same pattern. Very common. This is a double bottom. So we have a bottom here, a second bottom here. Now this sometimes can come all the way down. In this case it didn't. And then finally you get the breakout. And when it did, price really moved heavily. In fact, I think on this day, the 2nd of April, was up something like 20% or 22% at one point. That's a huge move. And I don't think that in terms of currency, I mean, currencies don't move 20% at a time, which is the problem with Bitcoin as a currency. It just is too volatile, moves around too much. Great for traders, but perhaps not so good if you're a long-term investor. Anyway, we'll keep an eye on the market here. I actually will be expecting it to top out somewhere in this area and then retrace. And we'd have to keep an eye on a few indicators and what's happening in markets and news and so forth to work out, whether it's going to stop, maybe here, or whether it's going to stop down here somewhere, and whether or not, in fact, it might come all the way down here, which is a real possibility. Notice that this line that my mouse is making matches up nicely with this top where we started the blue descending trend line. So that's a real possibility too. So if you're a trader, not that anyone that is listening to this is a trader, but if you're a trader, you might like to look at maybe selling half here and look for a re-entry perhaps down here to bring down your overall cost. And then, obviously, for you crypto guys out there, I hope it does take off and I hope you do get something worthwhile. The other option is to hold and hope, and I don't subscribe to that, but I'll leave that with you. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll have another crack at this when I've, I guess, determined that this works. So enjoy your day, everybody. Oh, no, look at this. We've got some questions. I'm so excited. SJ, that's great. Yes, a larger mouse. Okay, I'll work on the larger mouse. You were on the money. Yes, I was. James Wheeler joined too late. Bad luck, buddy. And Jono joined too late. Bad luck, buddy. See you boys at golf today. Woohoo!